Rama asked, "Ignorance does not cease without the full control of the senses. Pray tell me, how does one control the senses?" Rama is asking a question from the traditional yogic point of view here. The senses are what give us all our problems. We get caught up in them. We lose our equanimity. We get caught up in our desires and our aversions. So if we control the senses, then we're in equanimity. It's not a particularly helpful question, although Vasistha's response is very helpful. It's not the senses we need to be in control of. It's our moods. It's our moods which dictate the immediate tone of our psyche. It's that which we're caught up in. We're caught up in our moods. Really what we want to know is, how do we control the moods? That'd be a much more useful question, wouldn't it? How do we stop ourselves getting caught up in our moods? And it's these moods which colour the particular notions that we adhere to at any moment. Talking in the context of the Yoga Vasistha, you might not always be in the mood for hearing what it's got to say. You might not be in the mood for my videos, for listening to my voice. Maybe it might seem a little boring, and it doesn't fit in with your mood. This is a sort of challenge that, if we're a spiritual practitioner, that we have to deal with from moment to moment. We want to run with our mood. If it's a happy mood, let's go with it. We don't need to worry about reality. If we're in a wretched mood, then what's the point? It's all a bit depressing anyway. Our moods set the tone, and we want to run with these moods. We want to go with them. So this is the challenge. This is the challenge. And this is the question which Ram should really have asked. But he's asking it from the point of view of traditional yoga. And Vasistha's reply is valid, whether we're talking about the senses or whether we're talking about our moods. Vasistha said, "I shall now describe to you how one gains control over the senses easily by one's own effort. The self, or the personality, is indeed pure consciousness only. On account of its self-awareness, it comes to be known as the jiva." So self-awareness isn't in the spiritual sense here. It's self-awareness simply in the sense of being able to think about things, being able to think about yourself, being able to think about others, being able to think about the world. Whatever that jiva thinks, it becomes that instantly. And thinks here has to be in the context of what I was saying about mood. It's whatever the jiva feels. Thinking in this context relates to chitta, and chitta is the mind, heart. It's not simply cerebral thinking. It's what you passionately feel. It's your mood. It's your tone. And whatever your tone is, that is your reality at that moment. And it becomes that instantly. Moods can change instantly. And the nature of your world changes in accordance with that mood. Hence, the attempt to gain control over the self or the senses should be directed to that self-awareness. And that's your current tone, that's your current mood. The mind, the chitta, is the commander-in-chief, and the senses are the armed forces. So your senses actually operate in accordance with your mood. Hence, control of the mind is control or victory over the senses. If one's feet are covered with leather shoes, the entire world is covered with leather. So the sort of shoes that you're wearing is the sort of mood you're in. And the sort of mood you're in colours how you see everything. So we really need to look into that mood. It's got its own quality, it's got its own emotional tone. We might be able to locate it in the body even, in terms of our feelings, how we're feeling. It's that mood that governs everything, and if we go beyond that mood, then we're in a state of liberation. And we do that by turning the attention back to its own awareness, within which all these moods arise. And it's described here as being in one's heart. I've often said that this is a metaphorical heart that we're talking about, but actually it's a good place to direct your attention, whether your heart chakra or your physical heart. Turn your attention there and rest it there. And then if you can move on from there and turn your attention to itself, then we're doing real yoga. When one's awareness is raised to one's heart and firmly set in the pure consciousness, the mind naturally and effortlessly becomes tranquil. It does not become tranquil by other means like austerities, pilgrimage and rituals, in other words by conventional spiritual practices. When thus the awareness of the self becomes aware of the experience, then the experience does not leave an impression or memory on consciousness, and is immediately forgotten, as it were. We just become witness to everything. We're in the witness consciousness. The flow is happening, but we're no longer getting caught up in it. We're no longer being pummeled by it. Even attempt to do this takes one closer to the supreme state of self-knowledge. So rest the attention in the heart, your physical heart, your heart chakra, but then, if possible, rest the attention in itself, not in any ideas of itself, not in any ideas of the heart, but rest it in appreciation of its infinite, expansive nature. This is reality.